I used to say that getting this, becoming a no-kill city is like fighting a big bear with a short stick, you know, and you wondered whether it was ever going to happen when they announced that they wanted to make the no-kill city by 2012. I think that was back in 2006 or something like that. And I thought, oh, they're pipe dreaming, you know, there's no way they'll make that, you know. And I was a little critical of it because I thought it would get people's aspirations up and then they would be disappointed. It caught fire and more people got involved with it, and organizations and the city said, okay, come into this, help us do this. And so they welcomed these groups come in and they set up a program which I think is tremendous now. They've got you know, a dozen different groups. Some of them foster animals, some of them deal on with cats. We had the trap, neuter, and release deal with feral cats. And it wasn't just the Humane Society Animal Defense League, because that's all it was back in those days. Almost all the puppies I use on my television show with KSAT are puppies that have come from ACS. And they're really good because they practice disease control, they immunize them, they spay and neuter them before they go to homes and be adopted. And so it's just a pretty good program, and we've changed so dramatically. I mean, we're up to 80% adoption rate now, which I didn't think would ever happen. And I think we're going to make the 90% become a no-kill city. I really do. I really decided to become a veterinarian very early in my existence. I had a friend of the families of my father's who was a veterinarian in a little town in Indiana that we lived in. He, of course, was a mixed practitioner, and so I really got interested in that, and he was a great mentor. And so when I was even very young, I think only about 8 or 9 years old, I went on, occasionally would go on calls with him, you know, to farm animals and stuff like that. And in fact, when I was in college, in veterinary school, I'd come home every summer and work for him. And one time I was a senior, and I came home on spring break. I think it was 5 or 6 days, and he decided that he and his wife were going to take a vacation, you know. So they took off, and he left me in charge of his practice. You know, I wasn't even a licensed veterinarian then, everything, but I took it on, you know. And a really funny anecdote why I got called for a dog that was a cow that was having trouble giving birth, and everything, and I went out to this thing, and I struggled with it, and we finally got ties on it and were able to pull the calf, a nice live calf. And when I got done, why the farmer said, well, Doc, he said, you did pretty good, you're going to be okay, you know. So I started a practice out on North Broadway, where I leased an old hospital that was there, and everything. And so I was so hungry and interested to build a practice that I would take any vet calls and all those type of emergencies, and we had an answering service then. And so I was on the go all the time. And then in the process, because I was the only veterinarian in town that would treat animals other than dogs and cats, and birds and caged birds, and even reptiles and some of those kind of things, why I got interested in doing that, and I felt an obligation to do it, because no veterinary medicine just ignored all those animals really at the time. We didn't have a practitioner in this area that would look at them or treat them. So in the process, why all of a sudden I had the Dr. Votborg from, then it was Southwest Foundation, where the baboon and primate colonies are, and he came to see me and asked if I could take on their veterinary work on a part-time basis. And I was just starting to practice, and boy, I jumped at the opportunity to do that. It wasn't shortly after that Fred Stark, who was the director of the zoo, contacted me and wanted me to do work for them too. So I actually ended up having to hire an associate in my practice, so I had enough time to go to the zoo and to Southwest Research. And I used to go to my office on Broadway at about 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd see we didn't work on appointments then, it was just an open clinic. And so I would see people before they go to work and with their pets and stuff, and be there till about 7:30, 7:45, and I would then drive around Loop 410. It was 17 miles, and I made it in 15 minutes. It was a country road then, and to Southwest Research, and then I would be there for about 2 or 3 hours, and I would leave there a little before noon, about 11 o'clock, and go to the zoo, I spent 2 or 3 hours at the zoo. I ate my lunch at a brown bag and we're driving to the zoo. And so then I'd come back to the foundation, be there till about 4:30 in the afternoon, go back to my hospital on Broadway and see patients then till 6 or 7 o'clock sometimes. So I drove about 140 miles a day and never got out of the city. But it was a challenging and probably the most gratifying part of my whole career. It was just so exciting. I was getting involved in things that no other veterinarian was, and it was so gratifying to be able to do those things. And so it was a great trip, it really was. The Thomas E. Weiss Fund was really established by a client of mine who, through the years, thought that I really deserved to be recognized in some way. She was so happy about the service that I gave her and her pets through the years, and she's been active in that realm, and so she established that, and I was really happy to do that because I've been active with the Santa Fe Area Foundation and served on one of their advisory committees now for a number of years, and that distribute funds to animal welfare groups and humane societies in our whole community. And so we set this up so that this fund would be utilized for that purpose and to help us reach the no-kill city. It's been a great pleasure. It's one of the most fun things and gratifying things that I've done in my career is to be part of that and see the progress that we have made now through these years with these groups and see how they're integrated in with the city and really active with it. And so I think we've got a tremendous community effort now for the city to maybe reach that goal. And I hope my fund will help do that,